A second-half explosion of points results in one of the biggest wins of the Cowboys' 2022 season, 54-19, the final score from AT&T Stadium. The Cowboys open it up after at one point it was a 21-19 score. Indianapolis had a chance on a two-point conversion to tie the game at 21, but from then on out, the Dallas Cowboys did not look back. Welcome in to the First Word, presented by Dr. Pepper, alongside Isaiah Stanback, former Super Bowl champion. We've got Hailey Sutton and, of course, Nate Newton down there at the end. We are live on site here at AT&T Stadium this week, and a good week to do so because the Cowboys open up a huge second half in order to rally for a big win over the Indianapolis Colts, and they did so, Isaiah, with a number of different characters really contributing, including a number of rookies out of that 2022 class.
I thought I saw you on the field, Kyle. I mean, everybody was out there participating and making a contribution to the team. I mean, these guys did a great job offensively in the second half. It was a little bit slow roll early on. Okay, we had an early turnover, but Dak started figuring things out. Kellen Moore settled in. This offense had 220 yards rushing on the ground. We know the recipe for this team. As long as they can run the ball, they're going to have a great shot at winning. And then defensively, what can you say about Dan Quinn, Malik Hooker, freaking DaRon Bland? I mean, everybody was in there trying to make havoc. It was a great win by these guys.
I love that you mentioned those rookies last as well. Three of those guys, DaRon Bland, Damone Clark, and Jake Ferguson, all taken on day 3 of this year's 2022 NFL draft. So when you talk about the Cowboys knowing how to draft well, today proved that so well. And you mentioned also the versatility of this team. 6 different guys getting on the scoreboard today. Michael Gallup with his first 2-touchdown performance of this season, his first also since 2020, so they're kind of hitting their stride at the right time.
In the pregame show, we talked about turnovers. I think it was 5 turnovers. And more importantly, we talked about the rush game with Jonathan Taylor. 82 yards on 19 carries. As long as he had was a 19-yard run, hey, stopped him. Cold.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. We'll get to the defense in a couple of moments, but let's start on the offensive side of the football. You mentioned the 1-2 punch. Running back coach Skip Pete even walked back here a moment ago, and he said that 1-2 punch works pretty well, right? Well, Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott doing what they have all season long, and then they sprinkled in a little Malik Davis there at the end. What impressed you the most about what this offense was able to do on the ground that really opened everything up?
Patience. I mean, these guys stuck with it. Kellen Moore, one thing that has happened in the past for him is he's kind of gotten away from really running the ball, right? If some things aren't really going their way, they don't really have a big play early on. He wants to take it to the air. Well, he stayed patient. He stayed diligent. He stayed consistent with the running game. And you saw using the two-headed monster, right? You got Zeke coming downhill, banging up the middle, really not really getting a whole bunch of yards up front. But then what do? You do a change of pace with TP. All of a sudden, you break some plays, and then you're able to start softening things up.
I just love how complementary they are to one another. What Zeke offers, Tony does not, and what Tony offers, Zeke does not, relatively speaking, right? And so I love that you have that 1-2 punch. You have the versatility that we just talked about as well. And how about Zeke getting his first touchdown ever against the Indianapolis Colts? It kind of feels weird saying that given, how strong of a runner he's been for this team. But you just have to have both of them on the field. They both bring such different strengths to the offense, and I think the Cowboys can really play up as they get into this back half of the season.
Tony Pollard, 7.6 average. Zeke, 4.5. 77 with Zeke, 97 with Tony. This is a meat tenderizing deal that can explode all over you, man. And when it gets bloody, these Cowboys are running the ball well. Like you said, Isaiah, that first half was kind of shaky, but our defense and our run game stabilized everything.
That's a mental image. I don't know.
Yeah, we tried to hold it in, I think.
It's okay. I like it. Nate, the big credit up front for the offensive line, too, and what they were able to do. It really felt like they had their way with an Indianapolis front, a defensive line that came in with a lot of talent.
Yeah, I was kind of worried about DeForest.
Buckner.
And Buckner, I was kind of worried about him. And the other guy, Uakwe, knew.
Uakwe.
Yes, sir. All those names. I was worried about them. But these guys came out, they settled down, they started running the ball. I think our left tackle, Smith, he redeemed himself. He's played well. He played consistent the whole game.
And
no doubt about it. Oh, go for it.
No, I was just going to say I love, too, on that same front, the penalties were not there as well today. I think a big reason why they win today.
Yeah, keep it disciplined and then, of course, keep it tied up a little bit as well. That's a great point there. Now, switching to the defensive side of the football, DaRon Bland. I mean, he was the guy of the day, but you also throw Malik Hooker into the fact. I mean, he's the first player since, 1980s to have an interception and a fumble recovered for a touchdown. Those guys played phenomenal despite a couple of injuries. Anthony Brown on the secondary side of things having to leave with a lower body injury, but Isaiah, those guys filled in, and they did so great in that second half. The defense really clamped down.
Absolutely, and it all starts up front. I mean, the front seven has done an amazing job. They put pressure on Matt Ryan all night long. It's not going to really show up in the stat line. I think they only got him down to the ground 3 times, but I can't even tell you how many times he was forced to get the ball out early. He was throwing inaccurate passes. He's throwing it off timing, off his back leg, and these guys took full advantage of the opportunities. That forces you to now have to get the ball out your hands early, and your defensive backs can stay in these guys' hip pocket. And when those balls present themselves, you go out there and snag them.
One of the things we talked about all week as we were counting down to this game was force Matt Ryan to throw the football, and your pass rushing is going to carry on from there. What I thought was fun, though, was just the secondary, the way everybody just kind of ate in this one. It was next man up mentality. Anthony Brown went out, and they didn't lose a sweat. Kelvin Joseph almost got an interception there at the end of the game, too. So just really positive shared team football today on the defense.
And it was so amazing. And when they couldn't get an interception, you see Donovan Winston hitting the A-gap for a sack. But I want to go back and look at the film, the all 22. Whenever they put 1 or 2 guys on Parson, when he ate up some space, other guys around him made plays. So when you have that pass rush or that threat of the pass rush, it makes the defensive backs confident, and they jump everything, man. They were just sitting down on routes.
I think one of the things that's so encouraging about that defensive unit is that it doesn't always look pretty. There were times in the first half, Matt Ryan and that Colts offense, Jonathan Taylor, they were moving the football, but then when it needed to be stopped the most, that defense stepped up and did so well. As we take a look at some of the final stats from the 54-19 win for the Dallas Cowboys over the Indianapolis Colts. Here are the final stats overall. Again, the Cowboys having some success on third down, up over 50% in that regard. Talked about the rushing yards, 200+ on the ground. Again, Dak Prescott really didn't need to do a whole lot through the air because of how efficient they were on the ground, and they didn't win the time of possession game.
Okay.
That's almost because they didn't need that time to score.
Right.
The Cowboys were that explosive in this one. We've got more post-game coverage from AT&T Stadium on the way in a couple of moments. Stay tuned for Cowboys game night in just a matter of minutes. For Isaiah Stanback, Hailey Sutton, Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Youmans saying so long for the first word, presented by Dr. Pepper. The Cowboys win it 54-19.
Cowboys!